Hi everyone, this is CricketSong with Lunar Wisdom and you're watching Starting Out Solitary. It is week 185, it's sub week. I'm your Wednesday sub-host and we were asked to discuss color correspondences. So we were specifically asked to discuss 8 color correspondences. But before I go over my specific correspondences for each of these colors, I want to talk about my philosophy regarding correspondences in a very broad sense. Now, we all know that there are traditional correspondences for colors and herbs and crystals and days and hours and months and weeks and all that stuff. We know that there are traditional correspondences out there, but sometimes traditional correspondences don't resonate with us personally. So my viewpoint in the concept of correspondences is to look at whatever this is. So in this instance, what we are discussing today is colors. So if I were to take, for example, the color black, and I look up, or I look at the color black and I feel what that color represents for me, what that color represents for me. And generally what I do is I jot down all the feelings and the thoughts and the symbolism that the color black has for me. Then I go to the traditional correspondences, which may differ from source to source. So one book may say black represents the void, and another one may suggest that black represents protection. Generally, I find that one of the words or a number of the words that I have associated with a specific color, I can find traditionally it was used for that as well. So I would feel very confident in using that color correspondence in my spell work or magical working in regards to the correspondence that I feel, corresponds with that specific color. I think there is definitely a benefit in using and utilizing traditional correspondences because they come from a place where more than one person has resonated or found that there is this energetic connection between the color in this instance and the correspondence that has been used over and over again. Now, if you're working with a group or a coven that have correspondences for these colors, then you are working with not only your personal correspondence, but that group's energy, because you're all utilizing that correspondence in that one way. So you have access to other energies and it will power your spell and align your spell that more successfully than if you used a correspondence in a way that nobody else ever does. I'm not saying that that won't work for you, but what I'm saying is when you use something that other people have used in a similar or in the same way, you're tapping into not only your energy, but their energy as well, which is the benefit in using correspondences that have been used in a specific way over a specific amount of time. So if your family, say you're a family, your bloodline is a witches, you're a hereditary witch, and your family has always used this example, color black, for this specific magical working, and now you're carrying on that tradition, you have your energy as well as all the other family members that have used it in a spell for that specific thing, and you're powering your spell, you're powering your intention that more strongly than if you go off on your own and use it in a unique way. Again, I'm not saying it won't work for you, but what I'm saying is that there is benefit in using things in a way that they've been used energetically for over a long period of time, because you're tapping into your energy as well as other people's energy. So that's what I tend to do with correspondences. I look at the traditional, especially with these colors, I look at the traditional correspondences used for these colors, and then I sort of feel out what I would use it for. Now, what I'm going to share with you isn't like cut in stone for me. It doesn't mean that I always and only use these colors in this way, but this is what I generally use in a broad sense. But it may change from spell to spell or working to working. So the first color we were asked to share is black. So for me, black I use quite frequently for protection. I use it in banishings, in cursings, in anything that I want to deconstruct or destroy, anything dealing with death or the void. The color black also represents the crone, and at this point, the God, primordial sense of God or masculine deity for me at this point. White I use for purification, for healing, for seeking out the truth in situations. Again, I also might use white for death. It replaces any other color that I might not have. So if I need a red candle and I don't have red, I would use white. It represents spirit for me. It represents, I use it for my working candle. It is sort of like a beacon, like a call to call things forth. It represents the maiden for me. It represents spirit for me. And right now also when I'm doing some healings, it's a representation sometimes for the crown chakra as well. Red represents passion and love and sex. I use it in bindings. I use it to represent life, love, fertility. It is fire for me, the element of fire. It represents the mother. It represents goddess for me at this point in my practice. And also I associate it with the root chakra. So anything that is associated with the root chakra, I also associate the color red with as well. Blue I use for healing, for the representation of Mother Mary, also for forgiveness, for purification, for dreams, for emotions, for water, the element of water and everything water represents for me, and the throat chakra, so anything the throat chakra would represent. And I want to input here is you'll hear me talk about chakras because I am a Reiki master teacher and I use sound and Reiki and healings, so I work with the chakras a lot, which is where these color correspondences come in as well. Yellow, it represents happiness for me, prosperity, joy. It represents the element of air for me and also the solar plexus. Sometimes creativity, I could look at yellow and think of creativity as well. So anything in that sense is yellow. Green, prosperity, definitely. Money, wealth, luck, growth, physicality, because I think of green and I think of the grass. Earth, so if I'm looking at the elements, and the heart chakra. So when I'm talking about empathic abilities, if I'm coming from the heart, I think of green. If I'm coming from my place of power and I'm thinking of psychic abilities or empathic abilities or clairsentience, I think of yellow. That's in the solar plexus for me. The next color is purple. So wisdom, loyalty, authority, psychic ability, the third eye chakra is purple. And sometimes if I'm not using white for the crown, I will use indigo for the crown chakra, which is sort of a combination of blue and purple. But sometimes I use white depending on the working or the reason I'm looking at using chakras. And the last color we were asked to talk about was orange. Orange, creativity, prosperity, success, happiness. Sometimes orange and yellow, I find I can interchange orange and yellow because they're very similar feelings, vibrational frequencies for me, where, you know, orange is sort of like, you know, the red and the yellow mixed will become orange. Sometimes I find similar things in yellow I would find in orange for me. And that is the sacral chakra, so anything associated with that. I would also throw in here that, and sometimes orange can represent the sun, as well as yellow or red for me could represent the sun. When I'm thinking about earth, because I did talk about the blue, the yellow, the green, and the red being the elements, sometimes instead of green I might put brown because of dirt. So earth could also be represented by brown and not always green. And sometimes brown, I think of grounding and rooting. Although green could do that, sometimes I feel that brown is better for that type of thing. But then I also could use black for grounding or rooting as well. And, you know, that protection, the pentacle kind of feeling. But those are generally my correspondences and my thoughts in regards to color correspondences. It was a pleasure to talk with you and share with you here on Starting Out Solitary. If you want to find out more about my views, you can go check me out on my channel, Lunar Wisdom. And as always, I love you. Blessed be.